Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on how to streamline contract management within your Laserfiche system. Today's webinar will be recorded and it will be available afterwards on our Cities Digital or CDI YouTube channel. And then if you've registered, of course, you will be getting a notification once it's up. So we're going to get started. Today's agenda, we're going to go through and take a look at the different contract stages and types. We're going to go through different Laserfiche tools you can use and different ways that you can start your contract process. And then we're going to look at a live demonstration incorporating the approval review process, digital signatures, and expiration reminders. From there, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to put them into the questions chat. I will address those at the end, and feel free to ask away. So we're going to start with the stages of contracts. Of course, there are different types of contracts, but for the most part, they all kind of fall in line with this. You get a contract request, or you need to request a contract for services or something like that. You need to then go through the contract template, creating that, making sure that you've got all your I's dotted and T's crossed. And then you've got your review and approvals, electronic signatures, renewal notifications and amendments, and then ensuring that your contract is set up with the appropriate retention for your firm and your needs. So again, Laserfiche can be used to automate really any type of contract. You can, again, set up your process in a number of different ways. It just kind of depends on what you're looking for and what needs you need to have fulfilled. So here's just some of the contract examples: purchasing contracts, vendor contracts, sale of goods and services, trade agreements, all kinds of different types of contracts can be automated in all kinds of different ways within Laserfiche. And some of the benefits to automating within Laserfiche is that it allows you to reuse standardized contract templates and eliminate repetitive work. So we can use Laserfiche to generate fillable Word documents or PDF documents to create that standardized contract template for us. We can use and leverage forms and workflow to track responses and changes on all of our documentation so that we know what's happening at all times and who did what, so we have that complete transparency. We can include multiple stakeholders to simultaneously view the most current contract and versions all at the same time, or simultaneously send them notifications to review the contract so that it doesn't matter what order they're getting it in, they just review the contract. And then we can set up automatic reports and reminders for renewals and those updates, and just helping you keep everything in track and in line before you forget something or the contract expires or anything like that. So here we're going to talk about some of the tools that you can use in Laserfiche. Before I get into that, though, I actually want to push out this poll because I'm a little bit curious to see if anybody is doing anything within Laserfiche. So we'll take a second. Are you using Laserfiche for any part of your contract management, or just part of it, coming here for ideas? I'm just interested to see kind of where everybody's at. Perfect. So I'm going to hit close and share it. So it looks like most of you are just using it for storage, but want to learn more. No, a few people not doing anything, and some have some automated pieces within it. So that's exciting. Well, again, as we all know, contracts can come in a number of different ways. Sometimes there's contracts that your organization will put out for things like employment or for vendors or for services. But sometimes there are contracts where you need to use the documentation from your vendor for things like lawn mowing or really any other number of examples. So there's lots of ways that you can start your contract process in Laserfiche, and one of them can just be with scanning. So you can scan your document into the repository, into your incoming scans folder, and then you can apply a contracts template that kicks off some notifications. You can build out your contract process to be as robust or not as you need. And contract management can get really tricky really fast. And so our recommendation to you would be to start a little bit smaller. Start with maybe just scanning in your documents and applying a template that then automatically calculates the renewal reminders for you so that every year you get the notification saying, hey, this employment contract needs renewing, or you're going to lose snow plowing services. You better take action. So you can bring those documents in a number of different ways. You can scan, you can use that import agent if you've got users who don't have access to Laserfiche, where they drag and drop it into a contracts folder, and then somebody with Laserfiche rights brings it in and applies a template. And you can just simply drag and drop to start processes as well. You can also start your contract processes with forms. So that's what we'll be taking a look at today, is filling out a Laserfiche form to kick off the approval and routing process. And so, again, you can build a Laserfiche form to collect whatever information you might need. You can use forms for task management, so you are routing it from one person to the next in whatever order you need. And then that forms can track all the action history, and it can do calculations for you so that you know what exactly needs to happen with that contract. Forms in conjunction with the workflow engine allows us to do that. So again, you can fill out that Laserfiche form that then captures information on the contract that pushes all of those details into your standardized Word contract. So we can take the vendor name and the vendor contact details and the amount of it and push that all into your standardized document so that you can then, route it for approval and send it out for signature and all kinds of things. You can also start it from the mobile app. So you can review your contracts from the mobile app if you've got that approval process, or you could fill out that form on your mobile app. Anything that you can do through the Laserfiche application, you can do within the mobile app too, as far as approving and routing your contracts. Additionally, we can incorporate signatures, digital signatures. Today's demonstration, we'll be taking a look at DocuSign and pushing that contract through to DocuSign for signature. But there are also integrations with OneSpan and Signex, which are much like DocuSign. And Laserfiche just released their Adobe eSign integration as well. If you're interested in taking a look at what that Adobe Sign integration looks like, we did recently upload a video to our YouTube site that hopefully you got notified on through our newsletter. But if not, definitely just check out our YouTube page for that. So a couple of tips and tricks I just kind of wanted to go over, because sometimes it's easy to forget about some of the basic functionality in Laserfiche, is that you have the ability to color code your folders. This is done, of course, by the metadata, but essentially when you configure your metadata or your templates, you have the ability to signify whether you want to have that show a color. So if you want to keep all of your contracts in one folder that are pending, in review, going to expire soon or expired, all in one folder structure, you can definitely do that and then set up color coding on those folders so that when you log into that folder, you can really easily decipher, what's what based on the color coding of the folders. We also recommend it, if you are doing routing within Laserfiche for your contracts, to active to the name, or add, in review to the name, so that, again, depending on how you have your process set up, if you have the contract, instead of going directly into a vendor folder, but into maybe more of a pending area, again, just depending on how you have it set up, if you add active or whatever the status is to the document name and have the Laserfiche workflow track that and update it for you based on the information flow of the contract, it makes it easier to know where that document is at any point, just with that simple little add. You can also, of course, have Laserfiche workflow set up so that it automatically emails when an action is needed. So if you are a part of a particular type of contract approval and you don't necessarily have to partake in it very frequently, you can have emails sent out to notify you that you have something you need to complete or take action on. And then you can use token calculators to set reminder dates. So within the workflow engine, you have the ability to take a look at a date field, like the contract was set up on 9/21 of 21, and we know that it's going to expire a year from then. You have the ability to leverage those token calculators to set reminder dates and things like that. Laserfiche Forms also allows you the ability to create landing pages. So if you have, multiple forms processes or multiple forms that are used as part of your contract process, you can build a landing page to make it easier to quickly see what the form looks like and push those landing pages out to your staff so that they know which forms processes they have the ability to submit and kick off on your side. So from here, we'll just jump into the demo and take a look at that. I'm going to do just a quick refresh because it's been sitting here for a second. So again, we are going to take a look at a contract process from start to finish where we are papering the standardized contract. So again, this might be, or this might not be, but this is going to be a request for new professional services. And so we have to use our standardized template every time we onboard a new vendor, and they might have us sign off on one of their contracts, but we also have to go through our standardized contract every time. So you can have a form set up. Again, everything that you see here is completely customizable, from the colors to the logo to the fields and information that dynamically changes as we fill out the form. Some of these fields are required, which are indicated here by this asterisk, so that you're always getting the minimal amount of information you need to kind of keep the process flowing. So here we are we are big corporation, and I am going to head this contract. If I could spell my own name. Because I'm in a demo environment, some of my fields are pre-populated. And you can also have some of these fields pre-populated based on the user who logs in to fill out the form. You have the ability to use Laserfiche to recognize the credentials of the logged in user and use that to kind of pre-populate all of that. I'm just gonna triple check that you can see my right screen. I was afraid for a moment I got stuck on the poll. So we're gonna give our contract a title. We are going to do nail trimming services. I'm not sure why. Also, don't judge my spelling. So nail trimming services, we have the ability to select the type of contract it is. Again, this is going to be for professional services. All of these fields that I fill out in the form will indicate to the Laserfiche workflow engine essentially which contract template I want to pull from within the repository. And then once I select that contract template, the other fields associated will be used to push that detail into the fillable template. So my contract budget, I'm going to do $150,000 for nail trimming services. It's going to get crazy. We can go ahead and onboard a new vendor. I want you to watch closely here. If I switch it to existing, it's going to load me a drop-down list of all of my existing vendors from my repository. So these forms can do database lookups. As long as you have the Forms Professional add-on to your Laserfiche system. Again, it comes with some platforms of Laserfiche, but it is an add-on to others. And if you're not sure, please reach out. We will help you through what that is, or what version you have. But if you have Forms Professional, you have the ability to do those database lookups. We're actually just going to onboard a new vendor, and this is going to be for LA Nails. The vendor representation, so this is going to be our contact over at LA Nails. It's going to be Patrick Welsh. And then we're going to apply a SIC code. Again, I don't know if you saw that. It happened kind of quick. As I collect a SIC code, it updated the industry for me so I could make sure that I was selecting the right one. This is more for government entities if they have to qualify what type of contract or what the vendor association is with. You can choose this SIC code. So I want this to be a contract that is available for 1 year. So I'm just going to update that date. And then I definitely need to include insurance requirements. Sometimes, nail stuff can get, kind of hazardous. So I just want to make sure that they have general liability insurance, all these different insurance requirements. And I want to include a non-disclosure because I don't need everybody to know that, what our team is doing with LA Nails. So we're just going to have a non-disclosure agreement included as part of our contract. Now, as I mentioned earlier, as we fill out this form and, as we select a contract type, this is signifying to workflow the template that we want to use. Now, sometimes our professional services come and we require insurance requirements, but sometimes we don't. And so based on just checking some of these boxes, this is going to pull in the right section of the contract template that I need in order to ensure I don't have to add all of that manually later on. And then if I need to upload supplemental documentation to go along with it, I can certainly click this file upload. This would be a great part for if you also have to include a contract that LA Nails requires you to sign. You could go ahead and attach that as part of your standardized approval. So now here I have the ability to submit this, or if I'm not really done because I know that LA Nails is going to send me their contract, I can save this as a draft and it'll be available to me down the road, or I can go ahead and just submit, and that's going to kick off all of my approval processes. So I'm going to submit this, and right away it's going to bring me to my first task for approval, which is a legal approval, and then we're going to have another legal approval, and then it's going to be followed by the departmental approval. So we've got a few approval steps in this process. So again, if you're not in a demo environment and you're just not sitting here waiting for tasks to come to you, maybe you get an email notification saying, hey, you've got something new you need to take action on. So you have the ability to send out email notifications. So contract request, this is the legal review for nail trimming services. Click this link to open your task in Forms. So if I were to click that link, it would bring me directly to my task. And I can see here in the action history, I'm the first person to review this. I can see when it was submitted and whom it was submitted by. Within this request, I have the ability to view the contract folder or to, it's going to ask me to log in. I haven't done that yet, or at least for a while. So then it will bring me directly to that folder. So I could take a look at the Word document, or I could take a look at any of the documentation related to the file. Or if I wanted to view the document itself, I could click that. I'm going to go ahead and just say, yes, I've taken a look at this. This looks great. Draft updated. Or I could cancel it, and then it would send maybe a rejection notice to either the vendor or the initial submitter. I mean, you can have that cancellation do whatever flow you want it to do, just like you can the approval process. So I've gone ahead and updated it. Again, there are multiple approvals in this process. So now we're in legal review 1. And within this review, we can see here that we can expand and collapse information so that when it goes on for review, only the required and necessary information is displayed to save a little bit of time. You'll also note that some of these fields are grayed out, so they are read-only, so users can't make changes to these initial fields. You, again, have complete control over whether you want those to be editable or not. Same options here. I'm going to go ahead and say contract approved. And then it's going to route over to the departmental manager. And then I also just want to point out, again, every step of the way, I am getting email reminders and notifications letting me know that, hey, I have action that I need to take. Here's my departmental manager review. Go ahead and take a look. So if I take a look over here at the action history once more, I can see who's completed, and what they've said, if they've included any notes or anything. So I've got that transparency into what's happening with this contract and who's reviewed it and who hasn't. So I will click manager approved. And so we've gone through all of our review processes. Again, your tasks can be assigned out to a specific person based on, specific criteria. So you have the ability to control how your contracts are routed. So they can be assigned out for review in a round robin fashion where it assigns it to one person and then the next person and then the next person. Or you can have it set up so that it blasts out to a team of users. And so then the team all gets notified, hey, there's a new contract to review. And then whoever has time has the ability to go into the team tasks, assign the task to themselves so that they can take action on it. Also here within the forms area, you can see if you've got any outstanding tasks available to you. I terminated Link Ronald today in my demo environment. So I have some tasks for him. If there were unassigned tasks, those would be like your team tasks. And then you can also review your completed tasks as well. So anything that you've completed ever within your forms, you can review here within your completed tasks. But now I'm going to jump actually into my Laserfiche repository and we're going to see what the system has done. So if I go into my procurement folder structure, and again, this folder structure doesn't have to mimic what you have in your Laserfiche repository. You have the ability to customize what this looks like. So again, if you want to have all of your active and inactive contracts all in just a contracts folder, you can do that. And you can identify folder colors so you can easily differentiate between them. It's completely up to you. So I'm going to look at contracts in process, and I have it sorted here by last modified already. And we can see that the Laserfiche workflow engine has created this LA Nails trimming services folder for us automatically. If I do the checkbox, we'll be able to see that it has applied a contracts folder template for us automatically. I didn't have to type in any of this information. It just automatically pushed through from that form submission. I also want to point out that if you apply contract numbers, you can again use the token and the calculation features within workflow to create standardized contract numbers for you. So if you want to have it start with the 3 letters of the department requesting it, based on like the date, you can leverage the system to calculate that for you. So again, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to go into another application. It just automatically assigns a contract number for you. So if we go in here, if we take a look and preview this contract request, we can just see here that this is what the contract submission that form submission looked like without any customizations on it. It looks just like it did online when we filled it out. But we took all of that information and we populated our standardized contract template. So if I go ahead and show a preview, this is here a Word document, and all of the information in this kind of reddish orange color, those were the details from the form submission that were used to push into my standard fillable Word document template. Additionally, if I go to the details pane, I'll be able to see that there are multiple versions of this document. So if you're not really familiar with versioning in Laserfiche, you can apply version control to any document within the repository, whether it's a scanned image or a Word document, and then it tracks the changes in the versions. And then when you're looking at the different iterations of the document in the, if you're looking at the different iterations, you have to come in here, click on the versions, and then you can preview the versions and any of the changes that were made. Otherwise, in the folder, it's always displaying the latest version. So there's no confusion as to, what version of the document am I actually supposed to take action on and go from there. It's just displaying the last version always. So in addition to it creating the folder structure for us in this contracts in process area, it went ahead and created the fillable template for us and then pushed it out to DocuSign once all of our approvals had been completed. So here in my email, I have a contract for nail trimming services that was sent to me via DocuSign. So I'm going to go ahead and review the document. I'm going to agree to use electronic signatures, and then it just walks me through where I need to sign and initial. I'm going to go ahead and sign off and finish. And like most contracts, it requires 2 signatures. So again, you can leverage the workflow engine to set up routing and signatures based on, whatever flow you need. So if it can go out to multiple people at the same time, you can blast your contract out to multiple people at the same time. If you need to set it up so that it is going from one person to the next after each signature, you can definitely set up your workflow to accommodate that. So now here we're going to get Patrick's signature from LA Nails. Patrick is signing off here. If any of you know Patrick, this is really very humorous to me that he's getting LA Nail, or he's part of LA Nails. He would never approve. So we're going to go ahead and finish that. And what's going to happen next is the DocuSign integration is going to monitor for that signed document, and then it's going to pull it into the repository for archival for me. Additionally, I'm getting email notifications saying that the contract has been completed, so I can go ahead and download the completed documents for my own records purposes if I wanted, if I weren't, an employee leveraging Laserfiche. Otherwise, again, it's going to get automatically brought back into the system. So we're going to wait a little bit. It's going to give us a refresh icon, and then it's going to go ahead and move that document. While we wait, I want to go ahead and bring us to the contract management dashboard. So we have been, again, increasing in popularity the use of forms to display information in a dashboard type of view. So here what we've pulled up is essentially a Laserfiche form that's doing a database lookup into our repository that is showing us all of the active contracts we have within Laserfiche. What the review date is, what the expiration date is, who the vendor is, contract name, any information that has been submitted as part of this contract process, we can use to create a dashboard to, again, display us the information we need in a way that's super useful. So I can see, contracts expiring soon, or that have expired within here. And then if I want to get brought to the folder, I can go ahead and just click here, and it's going to bring me directly to that contract folder. So I can quickly take action or, kick off another process that will do a contract renewal, something like that. So if I jump here, we'll do a refresh and see if our LA Nails is in here. Here it is, LA Nails is now part of that. So again, this is a live update from our repository giving us our information. So now if I jump back into the Laserfiche repository, and we'll take a look at what has changed. So now if we go into procurement, we go into active or contracts in process, there's no longer that LA Nails contract. And if I go into active contracts, we'll see that it's been updated here. It also updated the folder structure for us. So we've got a 2021, and next year there will be a 2022. So you can, again, leverage the system to control this folder structure for you so that you don't have to create it yourselves. Then we go in here. We can see that there's the original unsigned Word document if I needed to take action on it. But if we do a preview of the nail services contract, we can take a look at what that looks like. So we've got here up at the top the DocuSign envelope information letting us know that this is a verifiable signed document, and we can see our signatures. The integration with DocuSign also has the ability to pull in the certificate of completion. We can either add it to the document or it will go in as its own document if you require that. Not all organizations want this certificate of completion in there, but if you don't want to have to go back into DocuSign to have this proof of signature, you can have it pulled back in automatically as well. It's completely up to you. So that actually kind of concludes the overview of the contract process and how we have it set up here within our demo environment. Again, you can have the process kick off a number of different ways. If you don't want to get as detailed as to creating a form that populates it, you can essentially just bring in one of your standardized contracts, make the updates, apply a template to it, and then that template will kick off the approval process just like the rest of what I showed you did today, minus without the forms. So you can, again, have it start at any point. It just depends on what your needs and requirements are. So if I jump back into the PowerPoint, I am now going to open it up for questions. If I can see my questions, here we go. Can you show the form configuration that displays all the contracts? Can you show the form configuration that displays all the contracts? I actually cannot. In my demo environment, I do not have, oh, this is wrong. I do not have the ability or permissions to see workflow, and I couldn't get it from my team earlier. But Tom, I would be happy to connect up with you separately to walk through that. So I will reach out. Our next question is, to allow DocuSign to send it back to the repository, does it have to start with a workflow? No, you can actually have your DocuSign integration set up so that it doesn't start in Laserfiche at all. It just starts in DocuSign. So you go into DocuSign, you kick off your envelope. Once it's been signed, it pulls back into Laserfiche. But then from there, it will file back into a standardized folder, whatever folder you select, typically something like incoming scans. And then somebody would either need to manually go and apply a template to it, or depending on how you have your DocuSign envelope set up, and then the workflow that's monitoring that incoming scans box. Sometimes we can automate the auto filing of the document once it's been signed. So it doesn't have to start in Laserfiche. It doesn't have to start with workflow. It can start directly in DocuSign and then get pulled back in once it's been signed. Any special configuration in workflow to send a fillable PDF form to DocuSign? So if you want to send a fillable PDF to a customer via DocuSign, so an example for some of the others out there would be like an I-9 for employee onboarding. You don't necessarily have that employee social security number. You need them to be able to type all that information in. So what you would do is you would bring in the template into DocuSign, and you can set up DocuSign so that there are fillable fields there, or if you happen to have a fillable PDF, you can bring that in as your template. But if you want to be able to leverage the integration to pull the information that they filled out, you have to create the fields in DocuSign. And then the integration can grab any of those added fields and then use that as metadata to route around. Something I want to mention that I think might be super useful to some of you asking questions about DocuSign is our next webinar is actually training on setting up DocuSign for Laserfiche. So going through the templates and walking through it with our trainer, Kyle. And so he'll walk you through how to set those fillable PDF fields up and how to configure all of that. And so that is actually on October 14th, which you can register through our, if you go to our website and then click on webinars, you'll be able to see that and start registering. I will also make sure that Kyle knows that we want to take a look at those fillable fields from DocuSign, but I think that will be immensely helpful. Any other questions? Give it another minute. If you want to see more of a customized demo, or you want to talk through functionality for your organization and you're just not sure where to start, please don't hesitate to reach out. That is why my team is here. That's why the account managers are here at CDI, is to help you get the most out of your Laserfiche system. So don't hesitate to reach out. We'll help you. I got another question pop in. So the form that kicks off the process, it can just have you attached. So the question is, I think, the Laserfiche form, can it just have an attached final contract ready for review? And you bet. You don't have to have any of those fields. You don't have to have any of that special stuff. You might want to include a few fields like who the vendor is so that you can leverage Laserfiche to create the folder structure and things like that. But you can have a really simple form that's like 2 fields long with an attachment where users can attach their document and then route it for approval, and then all of the same things happen. And then that attachment can still route through DocuSign for approval. So you can make that form as complex or simple as you need. Hopefully that addressed the question. Do you have any documentation in mapping the DocuSign fields back to Laserfiche? That would be super useful. I do feel like there is help documentation, but I don't specifically personally know if it goes through that. But I will get you a resource that will help with configuring that specifically for you. Perfect. Well, it seems as though the questions have stopped. Of course, if anybody has any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to sales@cdi.support. Or call in and we will assist you. And then those of you who have asked other questions, I will be sure to get you that documentation. And please let us know how we can help from here. Thanks, everyone.